I'm gonna work within my circle, and as long as I'm good to them, and most people are good to them, so they're good to you because you need those connections in life.
Right.
We just individuate and it becomes selfish, and this is our life.
Yeah.
We can always justify it, right? Because you go live and die and say that was enough. But
Yeah,
then
right.
there's some people that say, nah, like I have an undying, unyielding fire that has to be fed and it has to be fanned. And until I produce, or I have to live a life of impact, right? And change, and you have to be a disruptor. Otherwise, you don't feel like you're living.
Yeah. I don't know what that is, man. Like, I can't even explain it, to be honest, because I guess it's just in me. You know what I mean? It's in my DNA. I wouldn't necessarily call myself a leader, but it's just almost someone who is a trailblazer, someone who wants to at least march to his own beat, and then if people want to follow, they can. But as we know, and kind of come from the same understanding of like just being a truth seeker. And then you leave it out there for however people want to embrace it, but then also being the blessing and the gift that I have with the art is you can just do something and let the people interpret it, and it'll be here forever. I try not to pontificate, try not to get too preachy. One, because everybody's doing it. You know what I mean? So it's like, all right, well, this can't be the gift. This can't be the blessing. I mean, and then
Well,
there's
everybody's
people
not gifted at it.
Yeah, but I was gonna say, then there's brothers like yourself who just are at a high level of offering and communication, and it's like I think when we have a village, you know who your pillars are, your speakers, and you know who your artists are. You know, like and I admire so much. That's why most of the time I'm interviewing. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not really trying to get up there and say this is how you should do it.
Right.
I believe that I hope that I have the ability to teach through my art, or even through my
But that's a form of leadership.
Like,
leading by example.
Yeah.
Because as children, we learn more by watching.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
Well, if you're doing this, and I was explaining how like we got a society right now, right, that everybody is dissing each other and beefing with each other, right?
Yeah.
But you can easily see why, right? When normally, let's say you do canon class, right?
Yeah.
And it gets views, thousands of views. That may make somebody want to do it, or they may look at you as an outlier to be like, well, he can only do that because he has his access, his celebrity, he's rich, he got this, right? He's comfortable to be able to do that. So you're then seen as an outlier. That may not persuade a mass amount of people to want to do that same thing, right? But then if somebody else that's doing it, that may not have, right, those other things, then they say, wait a minute, is he rewarded for having a platform, right, to where they're speaking about consciousness and intellect? Well, let me copy that same thing, because human beings are primed based on reward or punishment, right? It's very easy. We watch things and be like, oh, I want that same stimulus. I'm going to do that.
Right.
So when we then see, let's say somebody like Shannon Sharp and Catwood.
Yeah.
It's the highest viewed interview, right, of all time on YouTube. So always, anytime there's a world event, and that's considered a world event, it changes the world.
Yeah.
Because it now influences people, because people say, wait a minute, if he was rewarded for, right, going on that platform and going at people, then I'm going to be rewarded.
Yeah.
So then it ushers in this paradigm where everybody's going at each other, right, because they want that same reward. And I use that.
Shaking the frequency.
Yeah. And it's almost like a tug of war.
Yeah.
You feel me? To see like what is going to be the primary influence for the people. You're rewarded by doing this, or you're rewarded by doing that, or you're punished from doing this, or you're punished from doing that.
Yeah.
You feel me? And then that controls, of course, a younger generation where they don't have that much defensive consciousness to like filter things to make a decision that's not based on the influences of the world, but based on it actually being connected to their gifts, skills, talent, and purpose.
Yeah.
You feel me? So when you do your canon class or you do your council culture, it's a good influence. Right? And good influence to me is good leadership.
Right.
Right? And so right now we got to be careful, because with there's being so many beefs, there being so many wars, right? A lot of this shit is just distraction.
Yeah.
Right? But it even now trickles down to the streets to where cats in the streets will be like, man, I ain't about to be gossiping about another man, none of that. That shit ain't making me no money.
Yeah.
But now it's making you money. So now it changes the behavior to where gossiping is profitable, right? And like these toxic things are now profitable and it becomes a business. And America is full of capitalists.
Yeah.
So we think based on commerce. So now that decision makes sense to them because the logic is now there. Why would I share this story? Why would I do this? Why would I do that? So this is where you see like media has such a powerful influence to change and direct, right, to where society goes.
Yeah.
Right? You've been in media for a very long time. And, you know, I'm just getting into it and I want to, and I really understand the
killing it though.
It.
You killing it.
You know, it's a long road, man. We working, we students of the game, you feel me? But first I want to get your take on where Black media is today, right?
Yeah.
And the business of it, the power of it, right? Mr. Farrakhan had a great lecture on the power of attitude, and he was explaining how, you know, our attitude towards things controls our disposition, our position towards things.
Yeah.
Somebody tell me something about you before I meet, I might have an attitude when I meet you, right? A disposition towards you that didn't come from me, right? But it was instilled by somebody else.
Yeah.
And he was explaining how that attitude constructs our beliefs, right? And so when we think about leadership, right, we think about family, we think about media, we think about building our own thing, we have a negative attitude towards it. But where that negative attitude comes from, if we don't have, like you talked about, you know, the hood movies that you watch when you're younger, you feel me? Them wasn't portraying a positive attitude and instilling an attitude that, yo, we can do it, right? The media stripped all of the positive Black family images. So now the attitude towards family, and that's just not even just in the Black community now. Now it's societal.
Yeah.
You feel me? Now the attitude towards family is low. Like it's not a positive one. So now it changes that behavior. So I want to get into like what should be our role, right, in media to inform our attitude, because without that, we can't even project the future.
Yeah.
Not one that we would like want to raise children in.
Yeah. I want to zoom out for a second. Cause you said a lot of powerful stuff, but I think it all probably resonates in that space of, you know, some of the laws of the universe where low frequency is so easy to flow in. Conflict is attractive in every aspect of, from you take it all the way back to gladiator days and beyond, you know what I mean? Like, where people would gather in a coliseum to see, you know, a man fight an animal, two men, you know, battle to the death. And we're drawn to that. Now, to elevate, you know, is never easy, you know what I mean? Because the masses are in a lower frequency. You know what I mean? And that's what keeps that frequency moving. You know, as you know, I'm not telling you nothing you don't already.
I'm listening. I'm a student here. Man. Don't act like I know everything. You know, no, I want to say before, hold that thought.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the thing. I think my misconception people have about me is I don't need no help, and I do. You feel me? I need
got great wisdom.
I need learning. But it's been that way kind of like my whole life to where people be like, I don't need to tell him nothing. He got it.
Yeah.
It's like, nah.
But the fellowship is what we need.
Yeah, the fellowship.
You know what I mean? Reminding one another, and when it's two, you know, iron sharpens iron. So when it's two elevated individuals together, it's like there's a shorthand. But you know, as even everybody's consuming this, you know, we want to be able to make it plain for them. So they can understand, overstand, and understand. But to that idea of media, as I call it, you know, manipulated entertainment designed to influence all. Is really,
I can go by that.
You know what I mean? Like it really is that. Like it, and you know, if it bleeds, it leads. If it yells, it sells. You know what I mean? So it really is their job. And if we want to dive into the spiritual space,
always,
you know, that that cry is what the demons or negativity or whatever is drawn to. You know what I mean? It shakes something up in everyone's spirit, and it's all controlled by fear, and fear is a spirit. You know what I mean? So in that, if I say something that shakes up the fear in me, I want to hear more. I need, and even as human nature, as we know, our, stepping out of the spirit and just going what our body naturally does. The reason why we want to be alert as human beings is because it was for safety. So our innate fear in us is for our safety purposes. When we were living out in the woods and, you heard a roar, you got to pay attention to that roar so you can protect your family.
100%.
Now that roar is on the news, you know what I mean? And they're trying to alert us to what's going on. And then, but what they've done, they've manipulated it to say, like, if I alert them constantly, I can constantly get them to pay attention to me. And then it comes from out of the news to now it's in our entertainment. And now they know that they can control us with the media and with this fear based off of the stories that they program us with. So therefore now I'm making money off of their fears. You know what I mean? And that's everything from big pharma. That's everything, the weapons industry. That's everything from, where we cultivate, it's all controlled. And I'm never I don't like to be I have been one of those conspiracy theorists in my time, but as I've taken accountability of self and tried to learn more and remove ego, it's not about what I know. It's now, these things are happening. Now, if I can translate it for someone, fine, but how is that going to affect my everyday life? So even in my responsibility in media, and that's why I'll keep leaning to the arts and be able I'm a storyteller, and how whatever this story does for you or generations to come, hopefully you get something, positive out of it. But I do believe the media has a responsibility, but I don't think we should put so much on it if we can unplug ourselves from the programming. I think that's happening because we're being empowered more, because you said something that was really powerful. And it says, when you no longer have the need, they can't control you. They don't have nothing to give. So if within our communities, if we control, specifically, like you said, in Black media, if we control all that we are and control our own intellectual properties, we control our own bit. If we become sovereign from starting with self and then within our households, then within our communities, there's nothing we can't do. And we can have that balance. We can talk shit and have a battle and do all of that. But when we know we're rooted in true principles and real ideas, then we can know that's jest, and that's something that, that's every king needs a jester, you know what I mean? But when the jester becomes king, that's when that's our downfall.
Well, I think that's kind of where we at right now.
Yeah.
And I think that, so it's when you look at media, right? Media always puts out the statistic with, you have Black and white families.
Yeah.
And it's always comparative data between Black and white, even though, Asian families are above white. But it's always centered where, like my brother Keenan always talks about how, it's centered where white people is always in the middle, right? And it's based on them. Even though if we're looking at, a culture, right, to look at as far as why are you up here, even above white people? Because Grant Cardone recently was saying that, you know what I'm saying?
I saw that.
There's no reason why.
I wasn't mad at why he said it, because he was, the shit what he was saying was real from a white man's perspective.
100%. You know what I'm saying? But for us, we wouldn't be looking at white people as a comparative thing. Why wouldn't you look at who's number one? But media always portrays it as if it's black and white. Yeah. Right?
Media, man.
But when we control it, we would say, wait a minute, how about we look at the Asian household and what do they do? The Asian, Jews, family.
Family, yeah.
So when we first talk about anything, if family is not the number one importance, right? There's nothing you can build beyond that, because everything you build would die the next generation.
Yeah.
Right? So family is the institution that carries things over throughout time.
Yeah.
Now, you know all about family. I ain't got to tell you.
Yeah, that's what Mr. Family, Father
Look,
Abraham.
They said we going through a baby bus right now. Not you, but they said the rest of the population.
That's everybody else. I'm cooking.
They said that the average it's supposed to be like 2.2 babies, right? Like per woman, right?
Yeah.
And that's in order to offset, the dying rate, right, versus birth rate.
Yeah.
But right now we have been, on a decline for a long time.
Yeah.
So if anything, you just doing your job.
Man, I appreciate you. Then you know what's amazing to bring everything that you just said all the way around. I've been spending a lot of time on the continent. I've been spending so much energy on Africa.
Mm-hmm.
And when we understand that, man, when we understand the root, not just us, it's the root of civilization. And to that point, like, I don't know if they doing the rates over there, but
oh no, they race is way higher.
Yeah, they making babies over there.
They got the opposite problem.
Yeah, 1.5 billion people over there, and 70% of them are under the age of 30.
Mm-hmm.
They're grown.
Average age 19.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, they're growing. So that, and to say, we know the again, whether we call them African Americans, whether we call them, ascendants. We're not descendants, we're ascendants. we're ascendants of enslavement.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? The AOEs, that's my new term.
Ascendants of
enslavement.
AOEs.
I've ascended. I'm not a descendant because I didn't go down. I've ascended from all that my ancestors have built. So I'm an AOE. All of us AOEs have we got
the ADOs, we got the AOEs.
Yeah. I'm an AOE. I'm an AOE. We have trauma, man.
For sure.
And we've been programmed, but I don't care what anyone say, through that trauma, we have still prevailed way greater than any other human that I've ever seen. I mean, again, I wasn't alive, during, the Kemet and Egyptian and all that. I feel like those people, slavery has gone from nation to nation, and some people have ascended, but I don't think there has ever been a group of people that have ascended the way that the black man in America has ascended. Like that, like I guarantee you for centuries it'll be studied to say, in this 500 years, they were treating these people like animals and tools, literally cattle, and they went on to become billionaires and doctors, science, not even just the majority of us, the quality of life that the 12% that we have, the 50 million black people that we have here have ascended to on the backs of our ancestors has to be marveled, and I think the powers that be don't like that. They know, they see like, wow, like it's,
but the devil work overtime.
Yeah,
if you ever stop working, you just keep winning.
And so when you hear Cardone say something like that, he's right, because he's like, we were set in a place of privilege because the one thing that the colonizers had is that they had their weapons, which we didn't understand, and they had the audacity, the confidence to conquer.
Yeah, I think their technology was their greatest weapon. If you're going to jump into crown society, you're saying that I represent power, I represent knowledge of self.
Stepping in the name of drip, get ready with me. Stepping in the name of drip, get ready.
I wear the crown to just symbolize, like, I know who I am, I know why I'm here, I know my purpose.
It's abundance, it's royalty, it's prosperity, it's energy.
Confidence.
Yeah.
I gotta walk with my head held high because you gotta see this and you gotta see this.
I believe that if anybody wants to be able to protect their mind and be able to think freely, you gotta get Crown Society today, man.
Neo after the blue pill, the color palette's all black. James Bond mixed with Malcolm X in my Che Guevara era.